Hey guys, so today I'm going to be discussing an article that I came across in the Independent. So it's titled, if I can find the title, that is Women Are Panicked, How Domestic Abuse Refugees Are Struggling with the Turmoil of Coronavirus. So women say that they are thinking of their abusive ex-partner because of the coronavirus. It's the familiar, yeah. So even though it's abusive, familiar is still familiar. I worry these women and children will return to dangerous situations. So the chief executive of a women's aid refuge in Surrey tells The Independent running the service in the wake of the coronavirus crisis is not only proving to be the stuff nightmares are made of, but the pandemic could be a death kill in the life-saving sector, which has already been decimated by the government cuts. So the centre is currently struggling with ensuring that women remain safe in the face of staff shortages caused by social distancing rules and logistic difficulties in self-isolating domestic abuse victims with coronavirus symptoms in a communal space. So the centre is also faced with the stress of keeping those in refuge with underlying medical conditions who are at a higher risk of more serious complications from the virus. So everyone in the UK and in the world is frightened because of the virus. So the actual chief executive is a domestic abuse survivor whose violent partner was jailed for 7 years in 2011. And the women in the refuge are scared. When you're in a refuge, you're completely isolated from your friends and family. All the women here have got phones and TVs in their rooms and get constant stream of news. It can be scarier watching the news because they're cut off from society. So the chief executive of the centre is actually worried and says that the women in the refuge will be at risk of murder in their own homes. And she's anxious about staff being blocked from going inside the refuge and not being able to distribute food, toilet paper, or other essential supplies in the event of a coronavirus lockdown. Women could call their abusive ex-partners and say, "Come and get me." We need to be there to maintain a level of support so they don't expose themselves to risk with their perpetrator. So the women are even thinking about the man they have left and worrying if he's going to be okay. I think this psychological conditioning and years of gaslighting and all these things that occur in domestic violence relationships can make an individual who's been really, really badly treated feel such a strong levels of infection towards their abuser and just keep overlooking that violent behaviour. Every week in the UK, 2 women are murdered by a current or former partner. It's important not to forget domestic abuse against women is its own pandemic, and we must keep domestic abuse services up and running in the face of a coronavirus meltdown. So the centre is also worried about access to food and worried that women might go hungry. So the refugees are already struggling. I wonder why this article is actually just referred to the refugees in this section. So cuts have meant that there's a chronic shortage of bed spaces in refuges. Oh, sorry, it's not refugees, it's refuges. It's refuges. I don't think I'm pronouncing it correctly. Refuges. Cuts have meant there's already a chronic shortage of bed space in refuges, with local authorities spending on refuges cut from 31.2 million in 2010 to 23.9 million in 2017, forcing several to close their doors in recent years. Ms. Keir has called for the government to do more work on contingency plan for refugees in response to coronavirus, criticised suggestions from well-meaning people for hotels and B&Bs to be turned into refuges for domestic abuse survivors. Statistics show that women are at greatest risk at the point of separation or after leaving a violent partner. Some 55% of women murdered by their ex in 2017 were killed within the first month of separation, and 87% in the first year. A woman will try and leave a violent partner on average 7 times before eventually managing to flee. So a founder of Salford Survivor Project, which helps domestic abuse victims in Salford, said that they are often forced to accommodate women in hotels because government austerity measures mean that there are no places in refuges and temporary housing is generally full. A number of women are panicked and feel really helpless. So the chief exec has mentioned that she expects domestic abuse will soar during the course of the pandemic, and she predicts that families who do not generally argue to have worse rows under social distancing rules. People have got no money, no jobs, the schools are closed, children are indoors. People are worried they're going to get sick, anxieties are bubbling to the surface. A woman whose husband rapes her every night, who's stuck in the house 24/7 with someone who's abusive, will not even be able to ring us because he is there. Periods of isolation may aggravate pre-existing behaviours and abusive partners who are working hard, and we are working hard to respond. That's just a message from the centre. No.